Welcome back, everybody, to Niners Now. I'm your host, Brady Grustas, at Grustas Brady on X. You can follow me there. And today we've got massive injury updates and some wide receiver news to discuss. And of course, stick around until later in the show when we'll be highlighting some of the 49ers' hardest matchups of the 2025 season. But before we begin, go ahead and subscribe down below, leave a like, leave a comment, and let's get into it. So, on Monday, the 49ers had wide receiver Kendrick Bourne in for a visit. He was not signed to a contract, at least not yet, so he will head to Washington, D.C. today, on Tuesday, to visit with the Commanders. There's certainly a chance that he still signs with the Niners, but it does feel likely that he'll go to the Commanders now that he's left the 49ers building. And there was also a major update from practice that I think will certainly decrease Bourne's chances of signing here. That being wide receiver Jauan Jennings was full go at practice on Monday. Seems like he had a good weekend with his calf and he's ready to play. Being healthy for the first practice of the week is fantastic news for Jauan, and if he's back for real, I really think that there just isn't room for a guy like Bourne at the receiver position. And of course, maybe having Bourne there made Jauan want to get on the field and remind everyone who this team's best receiver was last year. I cannot emphasize enough how huge it is that Jauan is back, but I would totally be down for the Niners to bring in Bourne anyways. The Niners did make some roster moves on Monday, releasing Trey Brown and Isaiah Prince from the IR with injury settlements. Pretty minor moves in the grand scheme of things, because the news was on the practice field on Monday. That being because Jauan was not the only player that returned to practice. Dominic Pooney, Kalia Davis, Yetur Gross-Matos, and Russell Gage all came back to practice on Monday. This is completely uncharted waters for the 49ers so far this summer. They are healthy. The only player on the 53-man roster who is hurt right now is wide receiver Jordan Watkins, and even he was running on a side field on Monday. It's insane. We dealt with so many injuries all training camp, and now everyone is back. Now, I'm sure there are injuries to come, right? There always are, but I'm feeling good about having all 25 of our starters completely ready to go for Monday. We'll see if any of the guys who returned today end up questionable or missing the Seahawks game entirely. We'll figure that out later in the week. But for right now, the vibe is overwhelmingly positive. Now, there has not been a Jauan Jennings contract extension announced, so I believe that everyone is starting to realize what we talked about in yesterday's episode. Leverage matters. The best scenario for the 49ers is for Jauan Jennings to play out the final year of his deal and play well enough to earn that deal. Jauan has to play and play well if he wants that deal from the Niners or from any other team in the NFL. Jauan does not have leverage in this situation, so missing games helps absolutely nobody. Hopefully, the holdout is officially over, the calf is feeling 100%, and Jauan is able to have a really big impact on the Niners season this year. He was seen giving Kyle and John big hugs at the beginning of practice, so it seems like the vibes are good, and let's keep those vibes going. Now for our next segment, the series The Build, episode 3 released last week, and this was maybe my favorite episode of the whole series covering the 49ers off-season. We started the episode with a segment on Kyle Shanahan with guys like Richard Sherman and Robert Saleh talking about him. I feel like 49ers fans take for granted how skilled he is as a play caller and an offensive mind, constantly cooking up new evolutions for the Niners offense. Shanahan was mic'd up during practice, and it was really cool to see him just chatting and interacting with the players on the field, because he's not just a numbers guy or just a play caller. He's interacting every single day with every single player on the football team. He's very present, from what we see in this episode at least, and that goes a really long way with building trust and community within the team. I'm very excited to see what Shanahan can bring to the offense and to the team as a whole once again this year. Now, there was also a great segment with Make-A-Wish kid Sam Nelson, who got to visit the 49ers practice and be a featured guest at the Chargers preseason game. He was mic'd up for both events, and man, I gotta say, Sam is he's so relatable. He seems totally starstruck at some points by the Niners players, and I'd be the exact same way if I were there. There was a great clip where he got to meet and take a picture with Jerry Rice, and once Rice left, Sam said, "Jerry Rice knows me," which is absolutely hilarious. And again, so relatable. He had a really fun clip with George Kittle too. He had to break down the huddle at practice. Just some super cool stuff. Shout out to Sam. Hope you're doing well. Hope the Niners win a Super Bowl for you this year. And of course, shout out to the 49ers. They were so welcoming all practice, from the coaching staff all the way down through the players and at the game as well. I mean, I saw Brock Purdy seek out Sam and give him a fist bump before the game began. It was just very cool to see. Very cool to see the players doing some great community service and making Sam's day. I thought that was awesome. Now, in my final segment of today's video, I want to share my opinion on the top 5 hardest games that the Niners will play in the regular season this year. These are the cream of the crop, all right? The adversity that will prepare this team for the playoffs. Losing these games would be understandable and maybe even expected in some cases. Yeah, all the talk is about how easy the schedule is this year for San Francisco, but they're not going 17-0 this year. And if I had to guess, these are the 5 matchups that the Niners will struggle the most with. At number 5, I'm going to go with the Chicago Bears in Week 17 at home on Sunday Night Football. Now, I grew up watching football in the 2010s, so I'm not really used to the Bears being a tough matchup, I'll be honest. But for the first time in a long time, I think they've got the coach and the quarterback, and that matters. It matters a lot. Lots of people are expecting a big year from the Bears offense with new coach Ben Johnson in town to work with Caleb Williams. And I think that there might be an adjustment period early in the season, but because this game is so late in the year, I really worry that by then the Bears will have it figured out. I'm worried that Caleb is going to have this offense humming and in rhythm after some early season struggles potentially, and Ben Johnson might be getting pretty deep in his play calling bag by that point. And their defense is no slouch either. They brought in former Saints coach Dennis Allen, who's a pretty respected defensive mind, to run that defense. And I think with the talent they have, they're not pushovers anymore. I think this game's going to be much closer than the 38-13 beatdown from last year. Now at number 4, give me the division rival Arizona Cardinals, specifically the Week 3 matchup at home. Now, the Cards invested massively in their defense this offseason, and they are way more talented now. And they always play the 49ers hard. The Niners got swept by Arizona last year. And while I don't think that'll happen again, it certainly could with their new look defense. Plus, Marvin Harrison Jr. is a sleeping giant in this league. He had a good rookie year, but not a great one. If he can start playing great or even elite, he has as much upside as any wide receiver in the entire league, and that scares me. I went with the Week 3 matchup for this list because the 49ers will still be without Demarcus Robinson, Brandon Ayuk, and Malik Mustafa at that point, because none of those 3 will be eligible to return until after that game. Those are 3 impact players and guys who will certainly help the 49ers win games this year. Now, ideally, they're all playing in the Week 11 game versus Arizona, which makes the Week 3 game much harder, in my opinion. Number 3 now, this is a team that I just can't quit, man. The Buccaneers, on the road, Week 6, 10 a.m. Pacific time. That 10 a.m. road start is going to be brutal for the West Coast team. It's always challenging for anyone traveling cross country, but going from west to east, where you got to start way earlier than you're used to, it's pretty tough. The Buccaneers should get their star wide receiver back. Chris Godwin is the one I'm talking about, of course. He should be back from injury by that point as well, which will make this passing attack extremely scary. Mike Evans, Emeka Egbuka, potentially Jalen McMillan, and then Chris Godwin back. That is a scary team, man. I think the Bucs are primed for another NFC South title and subsequently playoff appearance, and this could absolutely be like a playoff preview type of game. I could easily see this being like the 4 or 5 matchup when we get to January. Could also be a relevant matchup for playoff seeding. Maybe the Niners end up winning the West, and this game is the difference between the 3 seed and the 4 seed, right? The Niners really need to win this game, and it is way easier said than done. These two teams went back and forth in their game last year, and while they were both banged up. I think both will be pretty healthy by Week 6. The Niners got the W last year, but this year might be a little bit trickier. Now, at number 2, no surprises here, right? I think the LA Rams are the best team in the NFC West, and the 49ers have to go on the road in week 5 for Thursday Night Football to play them. This is a huge matchup. The Rams also swept the 49ers last year after years of the 49ers dominating that rivalry. Now, if the Niners want to win the division, they're going to have to win games exactly like this one. And yeah, SoFi Stadium is basically just Levi's South, but the Rams are scary. Dominant front seven, elite, although aging, quarterback, and one of the 5 best groups of weapons in the entire league. Their O-line even has some studs on it. I mean, if you drop your guard for even a second, the Rams can and will punish that. Jared Verse coming off the edge. Matthew Stafford making plays in the clutch. Puka Nacua making the craziest catch you've ever seen. I mean, the Rams can win football games in so many different ways. And I'm really, really worried about facing them this year. However, I cannot wait to watch that Week 5 matchup live because I will be at SoFi Stadium for that game. I cannot wait. So who is tougher than the Rams? I was just talking them up a whole bunch, but I had them ranked number 2. This one might be a bit of a shock, but at the number 1 spot, I'm going to go with the Houston Texans. Now, the Texans were a playoff team last year, but all I'm seeing online are people quick to crown the Jaguars and maybe even the Titans as AFC South champions. It feels like people are really forgetting about Houston. But DeMeco Ryans knows this Niners scheme better than any opposing head coach in football. On offense and defense, by the way. Because let's not forget, he came up under Robert Saleh. Now, as for the players, CJ Stroud had a down year last year, but don't get it twisted, he's a dog. Nico Collins, dog. Derek Stingley, Kamari Lassiter, dogs. Will Anderson Jr., dog. Yes, I know that their offensive line is bad, and I know that Nick Chubb is their starting running back right now. But you know what? I think the Texans are going to be good once again this year. And with the deep understanding of both sides of the ball that DeMeco has, combined with the extreme talents of this lineup, I think the Texans will absolutely be the 49ers' toughest matchup this year. My take right now is that the 49ers will have their lowest scoring game of the season against the Texans. Now, the question is, can the Niners' defense have that same dominance on Houston's offense? We'll have to see. And the answer to that question probably determines who wins this game. When the Niners go on the road week 8 to play the Houston Texans, we'll get the answers to all of those questions. So that's all for today's episode. Who do you think is the 49ers' toughest matchup this season? Let me know down below. And of course, let me know if you enjoyed. Leave a comment, leave a like, and let me know if there's any topics that you'd like to see me cover. Thank you all for watching. And of course, subscribe for 49ers videos 5 days a week. I'm Brady Grustas at Grustas Brady on X. This has been Niners Now, and I'll see you tomorrow.